We are talking Outside the Wire. This one is directed by Mikael Hafstrom and stars, of course, Anthony Mackie, Damson Idris and Emily Beecham. Now, the year is 2036 and the movie actually focuses on a drone pilot who is disgraced when he kind of makes a call that maybe he shouldn't have. Now, his character's name is Harp, and he is then sent to a kind of war-torn area in Europe and placed under the command of Leo, who is played by Anthony Mackie. Now, Leo is actually a prototype android, and he is an experimental model that only very few people know about, and Leo and Harp have to go on a mission to try and find out where this kind of leader of this terrorist group is planning to kind of get the codes of some nuclear missiles, which obviously could end up with World War III. Along the way, things obviously don't go according to plan, and what will happen? You have to watch the movie to find out. So this is a Netflix science fiction action movie, kind of a medium budget one, and plays very much like a Netflix action film, if we're completely honest with you. Anthony Mackie is infinitely watchable, I have to say. I mean, I love him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I even love his kind of like his behind-the-scenes antics, and kind of when he's in the interviews and his kind of rapport with his fellow actors and stuff like that. So he's a really watchable guy. He dials it down a little bit here, I have to say. But this is I think it's around 20 million budget or something along the lines of that. So it's a relatively well-produced movie and has got some great action sequences. And I think the scenes of this kind of World War battered European country look the part, and we have these kind of like robotic drone soldiers as well, which we've kind of seen pop up similar things in a kind of other movies, but I think they're quite well realised here, almost kind of Chappie-esque. They don't kind of feature hugely in the film and aren't terribly important to the plot, but nonetheless, the scenes that they're in are good, although I did think they were probably, when I was watching, I thought they were going to play a bigger part, and how maybe Anthony Mackie kind of relates to them to a degree, but that doesn't actually happen. It's pretty fast paced. There's lots of kind of stuff going on. There's a few twists within the movie as well, which I thought were good, if not a little predictable, to be honest with you. And there's a couple of familiar faces that crop up. I think the acting is quite good. Harp, I think, plays very much a flawed character, and I thought his character was actually quite pretty crap, to be honest with you. He really wasn't a particularly efficient soldier in a lot of ways, because he was behind kind of screens to being a drone pilot for most of the time, and now he's kind of having to kind of get out in the real world, so to speak. So it's kind of like an arc for him, how he has to kind of like see with his own eyes the kind of the war and kind of the actual human cost and things like this. So there's a few kind of different arcs going through the movie, and I've got to say the special effects are quite good. However, let's talk about what doesn't work. I think the movie, to be honest with you, is super cheesy. It really feels like a script that was kind of knocked up pretty quickly, and let's get this out, let's chuck it on Netflix as quickly as we can because we need content, so we'll kind of churn this out. It's not necessarily bad, but it just is really kind of like, I don't know, popcorny, silly, cheesy fun. I have to say there are some kind of somewhat logic issues here. I don't want to kind of spoil anything, but there's a couple of instances where Harp is really our main character here. There's a few instances where antagonists have an opportunity to kill Harp, but don't, multiple times in the movie, which of course then leads to Harp being able to turn the tables. Now, it just is, there's no real reason for it. It's just to kind of move the plot along and things like this. So the movie has very much that kind of movie logic and stuff like that. And there are some sequences that you'll think the military seem either too bureaucratic or maybe not bureaucratic enough in some instances. So again, the movie just kind of makes choices that suit the kind of the movie's plot rather than kind of suiting any type of realistic portrayal. Now, obviously Netflix did Extraction, which I think was a very gritty and well-made action film. This doesn't quite have that grit, and I have to say, when I was watching this, it felt like a Call of Duty game in a way. It felt like you were kind of watching someone play kind of Call of Duty. The stunts and kind of the action is very well photographed and well staged and things. It's never kind of like mind-numbingly, impressive kind of stunts and actions, things like that. But it's good enough. I have seen a lot of people come down quite hard on this movie, and I don't think it's particularly fair necessarily, because I don't think it's a bad film by any stretch. It's just kind of, well made and a fun and exciting ride, but it's just very, very kind of cheesy, for the lack of a better word. And just, I think the movie thinks it's being quite intelligent, having commentary on kind of AI, human, failings and things like this. But it's stuff you've seen a lot of times before, and done better. I mean, we've seen that the kind of AI movies many times before, and how AI kind of ultimately deems they should deal with kind of the humans and things like this. And it's stuff you've seen before. It's done well. It's very watchable. Mackie is dialed down a little bit here, but nonetheless, he's still quite, he's still very charismatic and very charming on screen. I actually kind of quite liked his relationship with Harp, and and I quite liked his character. So a lot of people kind of have, from the reviews I've read of this, didn't think this character's acting, Harp's acting, was very good, or the actor that plays Harp. But I actually thought he was quite good here. To me, he was actually a British actor, and I thought he did a pretty decent job. But he's, again, there's logic here. It doesn't seem necessarily logical that Harp would be doing this kind of thing when you kind of find out what the movie actually is about, and the kind of the plot twists. They try and explain it, but to me, I'm thinking there still would have been better options, if you ask me. But it's a fun film. I kind of still enjoyed it. I dug it. I was never bored. I was entertained. Yeah, it is somewhat of a turn your brain off kind of style movie, and it very much is kind of going through the paces to some degree, but it's a fun ride. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.